Okay, it's March 25th, 2026. This is the meeting of the Milford Finance Committee. First on the agenda is approval of the prior minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Al to approve the minutes. Seconded by Mike. We have folks on Zoom, so roll call. Dave?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Abstain.
Abstain. Warren?
Yes.
Sean?
Abstain?
Bob?
Yes.
Unanimous with 2 abstentions. Okay, invitation to speak. Nothing. Okay, next is beginning of our discussions on the fiscal year 2027 budget, and we're going to have a conversation with Blackstone Valley Tech. You guys want to come join us?
You want to sit there? Okay. Chairman Lazat and members of the Finance Committee, thank you for the opportunity to come out and tell you what we've been working on at Blackstone Valley Tech.
Good evening. So for Leanne's benefit, can we just get identities?
Yeah, Anthony Steele, Superintendent Director.
Christopher Pilla, District Treasurer.
Paul Braza, Memphis Liaison to Blackstone Valley Tech.
Okay, thank you. Floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. As of July 1st, I took over for Dr. Fitzpatrick at Valley Tech as your Superintendent Director, and happy to say that we're having a great year at the school. Kids are doing very well, as you've come to expect. The presentation that I'm about to give you is very financial, so it's not student-focused. I'm happy to talk about our kids all day if you wish to do that, or if you have any questions about that, but chose to focus this presentation on more of the FY27 budget request. The book, I would assume everybody has one. If not, I have extra copies if anybody needs one.
Start like this.
Yes, sir. One thing we did, of course, this is a product of our student work. One thing that is new this year, we did also put this on our website. So anybody, whether it be in Zoom or the public at any time, is able to go to our website under the district tab and get this same booklet in electronic form. First page as you turn in there is a listing of our budget subcommittee. That is the subset of the school committee that serves on the budget subcommittee throughout the year, as well as the folks on staff at Blackstone Valley Tech, including Mr. Pilla as our district treasurer, Nicole Ferguson, our business manager, myself as your superintendent, Dr. Connors as your assistant superintendent, and other staff within the business office itself. On the next page in your booklet, page 4, is not something that I think we need to go through at the moment, but certainly make certain that everybody is well aware of our mission and our core values, what we're trying to accomplish with the students, and how we're going about maintaining quality education at Valley Tech. On page 5, you will see a cover letter from me. I'm not going to read through the letter, of course, but I would like to point out a couple of things that are thematic this year. We continue to enjoy an extraordinarily good relationship between the school committee and our Teachers Association and our staff as a whole. And because of that, we were able to do some things this year that really helped us come in with a minimal budget request. Certainly, it was evident in July when I started that there's widespread financial hardship across the 13 towns that we serve. Some worse than others. Currently, we have about 6 of our member towns looking at override situations for their schools. And as a autonomous regional school, that's part of what our job is to pay attention to what's going on with our member towns and the 11 school districts that feed students to us, because if we're going to be good partners, then we really need to understand how everything is going with our members. And the summary of that is not unlike it is across the state right now. Fiscal challenges all over the place. You have the common recurring problem that revenues are essentially capped at 2.5% with Prop 2.5, but none of us have bills that are 2.5%. Valley Tech's no exception to that, and you see that being compounded over and over, and so it's created quite a bit of hardship within our member towns. We made our whole staff aware of this, our teachers, support staff on down through, and made a commitment at the beginning of the year that we wanted to see what we could do to do two things at once: protect the quality of the education at Valley Tech, but do it more efficiently, i.e. cut costs where we could and be more cost conscious. The first example I'll give you of that relationship I'm speaking about was with our health insurance. So we annually sit down with our broker, and this year was 5 or 6 sessions, do a very granular deep dive into what's driving costs for our health insurance, including pharmaceuticals and so forth. A few years back, we asked the staff to avoid emergency rooms if they could and use things like the urgent cares and things like that, because we noticed it was a cost driver that we could do something about. They responded. This year, it was the GLP-1s, the weight loss drugs. That's, of course, a benefit, but we did ask them to impact bargain, and they agreed to drop the GLP-1s. And for that, we saw a nice 2.5 or 3% reduction in our active employee health insurance, and we secured a 3.95% increase. Again, wouldn't have been able to do that if we didn't have a receptive and responsive staff. Right after we finished that, we started a contract negotiation with the teachers. We have had the longest school calendar in the state at 195 days for staff, 193 for students. As far as I know anyway, the longest public school calendar in the state, and it's been like that for about 35 years. The teachers really desired a shorter school calendar, and it was not something that our school committee was really interested in reducing in the past. However, we put some good thought into that, and again, in cooperation, working together, we lengthened the school day, we shortened the school calendar to 190, and in exchange for that, the teachers bargained a 0.00 base raise. Everyone still gets to step, with the exception if you're on the top step, you have nowhere to step to. So they got a 2, 1.5, 1. But essentially, we added contact time for the students, the equivalent of almost 2 days, of 2 more days, additional days, but did it in 5 less calendar days. And so when we were building this budget early on, of course, we put a placeholder in for salary and wage. The Lytics software we use analyzes all of the regional contracts that are being settled, and the norm was 11%, or 375, 375, 375 was the typical contract. And so that's the number that we put in as a plug, if you will, while we were negotiating. Another interesting point, we did that with no legal representation. It was the school committee and the teachers sat down, and we were able to, come to terms fairly quickly because we all appreciated that we were, again, on the same mission. The differential between the normed 11% versus what we finally settled on saves us in this budget $323,000, but over the 3 years, it's a little over $2 million. And again, that's a perfect example of what I'm talking about when I say we're trying to protect and preserve the quality of the education we have, but is there a way we can do it more efficiently or less expensive? It also, again, shows that when you have good relationships like that, sometimes you can get those kind of deals done. And so very, very pleased to share those with you. can't say enough, you're going to see a reduction, a pretty significant reduction for us. We set about with our mind's eye, if you will, on a 2.5% overall budget increase. When I say we set a target like that, I was hopeful that we would be able to reach it, but you're never quite certain until you get further along in the budget building process. On page 6, it outlines that process that we use. It really starts in September with our advisory committees, which are industry representatives of each of our 18 trades. We have about 400 of them, and they meet with the 18 trade programs throughout the year. Specifically, with one of their charges is to help advise us on what equipment we need, what equipment we no longer need, relevant skills, emerging skills. They're our link to make sure we're on target with what we're supposed to be doing. From there, the Budget Subcommittee, which is another subset of our school committee, plus the folks I mentioned on page 2, we have people come in, zero-based budget, build it series by series. So the 1,000 through the 9,000 series, everybody comes in, explains the rationales for their requests, defends what they need if questions are raised, and particular attention to any deltas, any high percent change up or down is usually discussed. When that final product is done, what you'll see in this is that we don't do any cutting at that stage. We let the budget build. And then the subcommittee will then look at the when we're done with all the series, we'll look and say, okay, what do we need to do now to get to our target? That required us to cut $1.52 million, and there's a page in the back here I'll get to be more specific with you about what that required to do that. But $1.52 million to go from what was asked and requested down to, again, that overall 2.5% budget. Thankfully, we also have, a school committee who is well aware of what's going on in our member towns. Was very supportive, but cautious about what we did to basically cut that much out of our budget, because the primary concern is, are you damaging the student experience, the quality of the education, and so forth. And so I can tell you that my 13 school committee members certainly expect that from me, it's great that we're reducing costs to be good partners, but you're not ruining the school, are you, Anthony? No. Ultimately, the full school committee votes on that budget and puts it forward at a public hearing, and then the vote, and our district treasurer sends that out to all member towns. So that's the process, and then in a summary there. On page 7, we get into the actual overview of the revenues and expenses. We were relatively flat on the Chapter 70 school aid, but 1.81% increase, comparatively speaking, is actually pretty good right now. I heard of a lot of schools that were less than 1%. And so, it is what it is. That's a state formula that derives that. And so, we start off with, our first $9.5 million coming from Chapter 70. Chapter 71, regional transportation. The governor's budget featured an 80% reimbursement on regional transportation, so that's the plug that we use there, the placeholder. I've already heard of a proposal to bring it to 100. This happens every year. It'll fall back down, and basically we will land somewhere, hopefully not below the 80% that we used as the original placeholder. But if it is over, we do have, you'll see a few lines down, the other funding source, excess prior year, Chapter 71. Any overage that comes in, so again, any reimbursement rate north of 80%, we will take that differential, put it in that stabilization account. There's rules to it. It can only be used for transportation, and it would be applied to the member town's transportation assessment in the following year, so in this case, FY 28. You can see back in 24-25, that's exactly what happened. I think we went from 75% and realized utilized 95% that year, and it generated $340,000 that was, again, given back to the towns in the form of offsetting transportation that following year. Haven't seen that in a couple of years, but we'll see what happens this round. On fee revenue, if going back up a couple lines there, you'll see that doubled by $65,000. We have resisted. We're one of only 2 voc tech schools in the state that charges fees for athletics and activities and things like that. And that's okay. There's reasons for that. The students do a lot of revenue generation in other forms. But we were one of the 2, and it's been a while, and we haven't increased it. This is an all-hands-on-deck effort, and so we did double the sports fees, the parking fees, all the fees. That's where that $65,000 comes from. Investment income, you'll see, is down. That's simply a function of rates coming down. Not great when you're looking at the investment income, but as a school that's about to, take debt for a roof project in another year or so, lower rates is a favorable thing. So you live with the good, you live with the bad there. The other miscellaneous revenue is simply surplus equipment. We do auction off with the public auction site any kind of equipment that's no longer needed. Below that, you get into the member assessments. One thing that is certainly worth pointing out there is you see on the right-hand column that 5.12% into minimum contribution. That's a pretty significant jump from minimum. Basically, you add the Chapter 70 in the very first line to the minimum contribution, and when you add the 2 together, that should be your required net school spending, is how that's broken up in a regional. But the state has always shifted a little bit more burden onto the member towns year over year. Typically, we see that more in the 3.5% range. So to be jumping 5%, granted, they did give us 1.81 and matched that up with the 5.12, but that signals to me that the shifting of the burden is accelerating a bit, at least in this year. When I started at Valley Tech almost 30 years ago, the state paid about 60% and the towns paid 40%, and that's pretty much inverted at this point. It's gone 40-60. And the mechanism to do that is each year, minimum crawls up and up and up. Let's see here. You see the total budget there is 2.5%, as I mentioned, or a total budget of $33,031,281. Down below, you get a summary here of our series. You see the 1 through 7,000 series, overall increase of 4.11%. And I will get in more detail about that in a moment. I want to point your attention to the short-term debt. Essentially, we are moving along at the fastest pace allowable by the MSBA. We've met all of our benchmarks, our deadlines on our roof and ventilation project. We did just get our bid opening on the roof portion of the project. Good news, the bids all came in within what we expected them to come in. However, that work will be done over the summer. And we'll be moving then into the ventilation phase. As a result of that, there will be no debt in FY27. The project will be carried on bands and GANs, so bond anticipation notes and perhaps grant anticipation notes. And in those scenarios, it's an interest-only situation. And the interest-only, we do not assess that separately with a debt line. It's carried within our budget. So that's why you see that significant increase there in the short-term interest. It's to service the bands as we work through this project. Interestingly, as I say, first we build the roof and then we go about putting the ventilation units on top of it. I'm hearing that there are delays with mechanicals in terms of ventilation and things like that. I hope not, but it's certainly possible. If that's the case, there is a possibility, I'm not promising you this, but there's a possibility that we won't be borrowing, bonding in '28 either, in which case we'll have another year of servicing interest-only bonds as we go through the remaining portion of the project. We will see as that project develops. I would like to talk more about, you see reduction in force, and you see a minus 650,000. I'll get more in detail with that in a moment. On the following page, page 8, we always, for full transparency, disclose our E and excess and deficiency and the status of it and what we intend to do with it. I think just for everyone's benefit, a regional school like ourselves are allowed to have up to 5% of our total budget in excess and deficiency, considered best practice, particularly if there are any kind of emergency costs or things of that nature. Currently, we have $1,384,579 certified by the Department of Revenue, and that is 4.3%. So we're certainly within our 5% cap on E&D. We use that for one-time expenses only, if and when we do use it. We never use it for recurring costs. One thing that you will notice, if you back up to the summary page on page 7, we did once again put $250,000 of E&D into the revenue side. That directly helps lower member assessments. And we've done that for the past 20-plus years pretty consistently. It's ranged from 100 to 350 over those years, but it's typically 2 to 250. In this budget, we have committed $250,000 of E&D to the revenue side of the sheet. Other potential uses are, maintenance, repairs, any kind of projects, capital projects to keep up our building. Sometimes we've used E&D to match grants because it greatly increases your chances of receiving said grants. And those types of, uses will continue. We'd like to make sure that all of our stakeholders are aware that we would like to use up to $600,000 of E&D next year. That's a little bit lower. We've been 750, but we're also somewhat going into a more conservative savings mode than we are in an aggressive project mode. So we lowered that down a bit to $600,000. I had listed there for you also, in case anyone was interested. Last year, we did request the creation of a stabilization account.
Go ahead.
Requested the creation of a stabilization account. Majority of towns did support that, so we created it. However, we were making no appropriations towards our stabilization account, and that's specifically for capital improvements. Likewise, I talked to you about Chapter 71, and we did not see a windfall last year, so the transportation stabilization or the Chapter 71 stabilization account is also currently at zero. Okay. Any questions on E&D?
So the way I did the math, it's like take $1.4 million less the 200, less the 600, say you got like 500,000 maybe left over. Any thought of putting that into this stabilization accounts?
Well, a couple of things. One, we never want to completely deplete it, right? So I start to get nervous around 500,000. You're right around the cost of a boiler, for example, right? So we generally never bring it down that low. If we move things over to, or appropriate things to stabilization, the idea there is more of a savings type account for a bigger, longer-term project that we would build towards. Because of the cuts that we made, there's two things. One, again, we're not in any type of aggressive capital improvement mode at the moment. But the other thing is when you cut a budget of $1.52 million, I'm also a little leery of how much we may generate for E&D next year. In other words, we cut pretty, well, we probably cut into the bone. And so we're pretty conservative with leaving that setting there at the moment, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. The only question I have, and I don't know the mechanics of this, is there any risk with the state for showing $0 of stabilization funds?
Oh, no. No, not whatsoever. The other thing with stabilization is, mechanically speaking, back on this front sheet here, we would actually have to show an appropriation. So say we decide we want to put 100,000 in it. We can't just move 100,000 of E&D into it. We would have to charge the member towns the 100,000. It would be applied by your operational ratio, which is about 19.5%. And so we would, literally be billing you to fill up that account. And it can only be done really once in the budget presentation. Yeah.
Dr. Steele, can you give me an idea of how much longer you think you're going to go in your initial presentation? Only because I have some questions, I know other people will, and we've got other agenda items.
How about 3 minutes?
Go to it.
Does that work for you?
Absolutely.
Okay. The following page, page 9, is where you see the breakout of our 13 towns. You'll obviously find Milford about halfway down the list. Currently 204 students at PVT, representing 16.32% of the operational ratio. Minimum contribution is the column we don't control. That's the part that's calculated by Chapter 70. However, you'll notice I shaded operational ratio, the transportation, capital equipment, retiree medical line, and the additional assessment line. I shaded them because those are assessed by the operational ratio. Minimum contribution is assessed by the state's Chapter 70 formula. And so that's a summary there. When I look at Milford particularly, Milford does have an increase of 7 students in FY27, bringing it to a total of 204. And that results in a $220,642 increase, or an increase of 10.24%. Because of the increased enrollment, our 2.5% overall budget translates, because of the additional students, and an increase in minimum contribution to the 220,642 number. I would just like to take you to, very quickly, right the page right before that, to page 22. The pages we just skipped are the detailed, more detailed pages on series 1,000 through 9,000. I'm bringing you all the way to the end of that, and you will see the reductions in force. So when we set about reducing this budget, I told you we let all of the series build as they build, and then we go back and reduce. Well, that started at 7.22%. So to get it to 2.5%, that required $1.52 million in reductions. We're going to get to the details in a second. In order to get there, there is no way to make that type of reduction without getting into salary and wage. Salary and wage is 56% of our budget. 88% of our budget is fixed costs. You could eliminate every last pencil, paper, 2x4, and so forth, and not close that gap unless you get into staff. So there's essentially 8 less FTEs in this budget, or 650,000. Some determination still to be made on which positions. Obviously, we've conceptualized this out, but you can see in the numbers there that we have committed to basically reducing 650,000 out of our salary and wage. When you look on page 23, the following page, there's an exact accounting of what we reduced, starting with reduction in force, as it was the biggest reduction. The next thing is that money we saved with that nice contract we created. And I just want to point you to down the bottom in the last paragraph, if you will, you see BVTI, continuing education. We did start this year with the new adult ed program. That does not have any financial burden on the towns. In fact, it generates revenue. It began although a lot of prep work started, the first courses started in January. We brought in 108 students, so we're off to a fantastic start. 5 programs in plumbing, electrical, HVAC, welding, and machining, and already have put in the grant requests for 4 more programs next year. We did pull $30,500, as you can see, out of BVTI. That's the night programming cash. I was cautious to do that. It feels like, well, you know, we're stealing lunch money from an infant. It was just born. It's not even 4 months old. But I do want to point out that on the other side of things, those 5 shops I mentioned, it also saves on the expenses because BVTI has paid for supplies, materials, equipment, and so forth. So we were also able to cut expenses, not just gain revenue. And the last page, or next page, is just the grants, the usual effort that we make. But at the printing here is February 17th, $2.2 million. It's close to 2.5 as we sit today. And we still continue to actively seek any kind of revenue stream that we can use to, you know, offset costs.
Thank you for that. Okay, so a few questions for me, and then I'll open it up. What's the overall change in enrollment for BVT anticipated to be from this year to next year?
Specifically for Milford or overall?
Overall.
We are at 1,250. And I believe the prior year, we were at 1,257.
So it's approximately the same.
We always will float right there. We continue to have more than double the number of applicants than we have available seats. The reason for the fluctuation of the 7 is that people move, students do move around, sometimes out of the district, even out of the state or country, custody changes, things like that. So we don't have the ability to replace them up in the junior, senior year, so sometimes you'll see a floating of about that magnitude.
And 2.5% is your overall expense increase, and that includes benefits and the like?
That is all things.
All
It is-
things.
It is our insurance, it's health insurance, it's retiree, medical, transportation, of course, you know, all salaries, every expense we have. I did write on the, I believe, the very, very last page of the book are all the expenses. It is all rolled into one as a regional school, and we have one bite at the apple. Some of the placeholders, if we're off, we don't come back to you and ask for, you know, to tell you we made a mistake. We live with it. Okay?
2.5% all in.
All in.
The lottery system.
Yes.
I don't want to go off on an extended tangent. I just want a 60-second explanation. Are there limitations or restrictions on the lottery system, or is it a pure lottery system going forward?
I'll start here. There's guidelines, strict rules, if you will, set forth by the Board of Education, Department of Education, and the state, to which we must adhere. We did put out a video. It's available for any. I know I shared it with Mr. Villani, Mr. Taylor, and others, but it really goes into a half hour of exactly how it works.
I watched the video. I didn't see too much on the limitations on the lottery. What I did get out of the video was the apportionment process.
Yes.
Your goal is now to have the ratio of students from each town to roughly correspond to
The number of
students
8th graders in the town is
in the
correct.
town. And you're anticipating that's going to result in an increase in the Milford students up to about 240, was my recollection of the number.
The current target is 245,
And where are we today?
204.
204. So you're anticipating additional increases.
However, we slowed it down so that no town got, you know, slammed with the change all at once. And so in next year, actually, the lottery's happening as we sit. It's the Milford Lottery is happening tonight. I look behind me for a clock here, but 8 o'clock.
When do you envision the period for that transition from the 204 to the 245 for Milford?
So we paced that out over essentially 8 years. Now, what's interesting about it is you have to look at it from a couple of different statistical points. When you take your target and you also have a trend that you've been experiencing and you're trying to get there, you got to envision it as though the ceiling is coming down, but the floor is also rising. You have two data points that are headed towards each other. So a lot of times it doesn't take the full 8 years is one aspect of that. The other aspect of that is things can change. You could have if your number of 8th graders starts to decline, the formula will respond to that, and you won't see that total increase that today is a target, but it might not be tomorrow. And so it's always evolving with you. If you're getting bigger, you're going to get more seats, or smaller, et cetera, so.
Understood.
Okay.
Questions, anybody? It's Carly?
Can I ask a follow-up on that? So if we don't change, but others change in a negative way, our percentage will still go up, correct?
Well, it's an overall share, so there's 1,250 seats at Valley Tech, and basically all we're doing is proportioning it to the towns. So
You're proportioning it to the towns, but in this example, our 204 goes to a 245 over time.
Yeah.
What if everyone else's, due to their proportion, their town goes down? Do we become a greater proportion of your total?
if all other towns were getting smaller, then statistically, that's solid reasoning. Yes.
Or if we're getting larger faster than the towns around us?
Correct.
Thank you.
Al?
I'm slow. So when you said we had 7 extra kids this year, and that resulted in $200,000 increase, Portuguese math doesn't make sense to me. 200 divided by 7?
Well, we had more, we must have had more than 7 because our minimum contribution is what, about 12 or 13,000?
So I can break it down for you. Your Portuguese math is always on target, and you know that. Minimum contribution, again, is that, I don't want to say it's a wild card because it's a formula. It's not a wild card, but you have 4 possible outcomes with minimum contribution. You can have more students, more money. You can have more students with a reduction in minimum. You can have less students, higher minimum, and the dreaded less students, more money, right? That's the worst of the 4 permutations. Milford's increase in minimum contribution was $197,000, $197,447. I can say it to you this way. If Valley Tech had a 0.00 budget this year, you would still have a $197,000 increase. It's 70% of this year's increase. What actually happens is because we have a 2.5% budget, and the operational ratios applied to that capital equipment column and the additional assessment column, our budget's actually been cooling off the spikes and the raises to the minimum. So a lot of it, I'm not blaming minimum, but it would help you explain the math.
The minimum, Anthony, is student dependent? I thought that was a fixed number no matter how many students you send.
So minimum contribution starts with a calculation of all of the equalized value of your property in Milford, takes into account all of the revenue of the citizens of Milford, multiplies it by a municipal growth factor, and then also looks at enrollment. And so it's designed to try to determine a town's ability to pay. And we see it change for any given town, up or down every year. Milford actually, although you did see a pretty significant increase in minimum, and you saw on the front sheet, all minimums went up 5.12%, so it's a pretty good hike for all 13 towns. But I will tell you that Milford still does rank 13 out of 13 on the per pupil assessment. So Milford's per pupil assessment is 11,640. There are quite a few of our member towns now that are in the 20,000. So they're almost double on the per pupil. And that's because that formula determined that those towns had a higher ability to pay. Therefore, their minimum contribution reflects a tuition that's almost double.
It's not proportional to the number of students we send.
Correct.
We sent 1 student,
Yes.
the minimum contribution would stay the same.
No.
No?
No. It would float with your enrollment. However, the enrollment, here's an interesting, you got to think statewide on this. So there are 75% of the districts in the state have declining enrollment.
Yes.
None of them have declining budgets. None of them have declining Chapter 78. At the very least, they're being held harmless, right? So they're getting $75 a student, for example. So if aid keeps going up, let's say statewide, never goes down, but the number of students most certainly has, then what you start to get in the formula is a disconnect, a less direct proportionality at the very least, between enrollment and minimum contribution money. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Now, it's far more complicated than that. Each town's calculation sheet, you need a good accountant to go through it with you. However, what we see over time is that it used to be very predictable with enrollment. And now, those 4 permutations, you see very unpredictable results where you think you got less students, I should have a decrease. And you don't see it that. And that's what's happening on the larger scale.
Next question is follow up on Carly's question. If we're estimating 240 slots, what happens if we don't send applications for 240?
Oh, that's a good question. So one, think about it in each class, right? So it's a freshman class each year. 8th graders applying to a freshman class. And so you have a total seat allotment or a minimum seat allotment. We don't have any towns at the moment that don't have enough applicants to fill their allotted seats. Milford is significantly, probably double. I could, if you want me to grab my binder, I'll tell you exactly.
No,
But you're nowhere near not filling, or let me say, applicants.
Having enough applicants for the seats we're allocated.
Correct.
David, did you have a question?
I think I do. The minimum contribution, just for everybody's sake, is you're not coming up with the number, the state is.
No, we all get that on the cherry sheet in January.
So you're not deciding on what each one is, which is good.
No.
But the thing I got confused was, isn't our contribution a fixed number? And that change, like the 2 million, just like 2,375,000, that doesn't change, right?
Let me make sure I know where you are here.
I'm on the town assessments, page 9.
Okay, yep.
So I got confused when you said that it will change by the number of enrollment. All it is that the average changes, right, not the cost?
When you say it will change, what is it?
If the average cost per pupil, say the 204 and 210.
Yeah, okay.
No, the 2,374,000 doesn't change, it's just the average per student will go down.
Columns change.
Is that correct?
The purple columns would change because they're based on the
Yeah.
percentage.
What's that?
The purple columns change. That's based on your 2.5.
What's purple? I'm looking at black and white.
I thought these numbers were fixed by the state.
Is there a fixed and a variable component?
Yeah, that's
to
my
this?
question.
That's the question.
Yeah, thank you.
The only column we don't control is the minimum contribution column. The others are all divided, take the total times your operational ratio, in this case 16.32%.
So where's the operation, that's the question again, where's the operation ratio number come from?
That is the number of students, so that's
That's
200,
divisible?
204
Is the answer, okay.
divided over the 1250. I'm sorry, I just didn't understand what you were
So
asking.
columns number, purple columns,
Yep.
2 and 3 will change to change. the total.
Directly.
That was my question. If we go up and everyone else goes down, our percentage goes up. Our rate on the purple columns goes up.
Directly proportional to the number of students.
Got it.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Yeah, no, I just
what you
didn't
were
know if the
asking.
16.52 was from the state as well, but it's not. It's based on enrollment students, or enrollment.
Are we increasing the population of BVT?
Increasing it, meaning,
You got 1,250 kids. After the lottery, is it going to be 1,251?
so I'll say it, no. It's, we're full. We can't take any more
Just moving
students.
within towns.
Right.
Okay, I just
What
wanted-
will change, Mr. Correa, is you'll go from 16.32%. According to the number of 8th graders you have, you should be 19 point something. Again, I have it if you want it. So you're underrepresented based on the
We're going up
number.
40 students as a shuffle inside the 13 towns. We're not increasing the number of students.
That's correct. Some towns are coming down. Some towns are greatly overrepresented and coming down. Douglas, for example, is coming down 54, as an example. It won't show in the budget book. This is all in the apportionment. If you go back to the apportionment,
Douglas has 132.
Yeah.
If they're coming down 54, that's a huge drop.
massive, really. Yep. And again, all proportional to how many eighth graders are in Douglas.
Oh, Bill has a question. Go ahead, Bill.
Yes, not so much a question as an observation. Milford's eighth grade population for the current year, October, is coming down by 37 students. And yet, our overall participation is going up. It just seems to me to be a seesaw out of balance. I understand your allotment process. I'm just pointing that out as being something that is inconsistently against us in terms of how it works.
Yeah, and if I can just speak to that, just briefly. One thing that we did in the process, as you probably picked up in the video, was we looked at a 4-year enrollment trend. Okay, so, and for the reason that not just Milford, all towns from year to year will see, quite a whipsaw up and down in the student population.
Is the apportionment going to be reevaluated every year? or
Yes,
this
it
a one-
is.
Okay.
Yes, it is. Yep. And so essentially, if you're coming down, your seat allotment's going to come down. That's what the target is today, but it may not be next year when we have the new enrollment numbers.
Right. As I said, not so much a question as an observation.
It's a good one.
Is it a pure lottery? I mean, if there's discipline issues or special needs requirements, are those kids equal shares of the lottery?
It is as pure, the answer is not exactly. It's what's called a weighted lottery. You get an entry, Mr. Correa, just for filling out the application. So you get one. You will get an additional ticket if you have good attendance. Let me tell you what good attendance is. As long as you have missed less than 27 days of school in the last 270, then you get an additional bonus for good attendance. If you miss 28 days in the last 270, it's somewhat of a moot point because you're not going to be a ninth grader. You've missed more than 90% of school. That's how they came up with the number. And then you will also get an extra ticket for good behavior or discipline as long as you haven't committed a felony in school. Okay? You can commit felonies, just not in school, and you get an extra ticket for good behavior. So let's say everybody gets 3 tickets. Almost everybody. There's a couple who actually didn't get all 3 tickets in this lottery draw.
Can I answer your question?
Yeah.
Really?
Why?
Well, you were addressing special needs, and I didn't hear that coming up in the numbers there.
So that's not taken into consideration?
No.
I saw Dr.
Totally
Braza
neutral.
shake his head no, so I assume the answer.
Some of the other things not taken into consideration that we're not exactly happy about is things like twin splitting. So twins apply, one twin might get in, one doesn't. Previously, the state would make an allowance for that. Even siblings, because the idea there was that you don't want mom or dad to drive over here to drop this one off and have to go clear across the valley to the other. These are all things that charter schools do with their lotteries. Everything, staff members, kids, and things like that. None of it. So not even on the same footing as the charter schools. So when you say, is it a strict lottery, it is, with the exception of the extra tickets and what I explained to you, it's a total blind draw.
I don't want to cut anyone off. We have been going for 45 minutes. Is there anything else pressing for anybody? No. Well, thank you for coming in.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay.
Excuse me.
We had town meeting warrants on the on the agenda, but as I understand it, that's not going to come out now until April 6th.
Correct.
So we will not be able to do that until April 8th at the earliest. So that leaves us with just the general budget discussion, where I think we should go through and decide which accounts need a further look and which accounts we want to invite people to come in. We're going to operate on the same premise that we did last year. We're not approving any individual budgets at this time. We're going to hear everyone and everything, and then we're going to look at the big picture after we get done a few weeks from now. Now, toward that end, there's a two-page sheet that Paul has been circulating from time to time. We have added a column to the right-hand side. And the purpose of the column is that, we frequently get 3, 4, 5 budgets emailed to us by Paul. And then the question is, well, what does this really mean in the big picture? So if you look at the back of the second page, for example, of what Paul circulated earlier today, it has all of the assumptions in the updated analysis that we had done several weeks back, with the stabilization of $1.6 million and change, with the excess levy at $5.5 million, et cetera. And what this is telling you on the far right-hand side is we're, at the moment, $271,000 to the bad. If all of the budgets presented so far, or submitted so far, were accepted without regard to the budgets that have not yet been submitted. Okay, so that's that. Side note, before we get into these individual line items, there is going to be, as I understand it, a warrant article that is going to involve settlement of an employment discrimination claim. We will deal with that in a separate night, approval or otherwise, and how it gets funded. It's not an issue for tonight. I just want to alert people that that is going to be a topic at a subsequent meeting. So now let's go back to the individual accounts. Zach, do you want to take it from here?
Yeah, you mind if I give a quick opener before we get into them?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. So I presented now like a lot. I've been in front of this committee, I've been in front of the Selectmen, School Committee. Earlier today, I got called in front of the Water Department to go over kind of our overall goals and objectives. This, I'll tell you right out of the gate, is the most challenging budget I have experienced in my 16 years here. Why? So at this time, right now, we have a little over $3 million of new money. That includes Proper 2.5 at 2.3. That includes new growth at 750,000. Probably sound like a broken record. The big issue here was Chapter 70 and state aid, where effectively overall state aid, we're getting 150K. That's chicken scratch for us. We're used to the 3, 4, 5 million at times. So that is a massive, massive impact. If we were to move forward, as we typically do, we were looking at close to a $3 million deficit. Milford would have been very well positioned, and we are, but we would have been very well positioned to handle something like this if we didn't have a school coming and we weren't trying to do it within levy. But we do have a school coming, and we are trying to do it within levy. So when you hear these numbers of trying to maintain excess levy capacity and we're still trying to hit stabilization, it's because we have this huge project coming down the line. So we've, again, met with a lot of departments individually, and people aren't happy about it, but so far we have been able to tackle a lot. To the point you made earlier, I don't think we're there yet, but for tonight's purpose, a lot of budgets are looking pretty good, certainly in my opinion, and I do believe we can begin to go through them at this point.
Okay.
Andy,
Yes, Al?
one caveat, when you mentioned the school, if we settle this suit and we don't take it out of stabilization, we have to take it out of the budget, that's going to put us in even more of a
Mentioned
challenge.
we're not going to talk about that.
No, I'm just saying, but when you bring out the caveats,
Yeah.
Can we not go there?
we're not going there.
We are going there.
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Rick, when you mention caveats, you have to mention all of them. Otherwise, we're not talking about it.
So I think it may be wise just to begin, go through department by department here.
Yep.
And then I suppose I'll pause with each and see if there's questions. If not, we'll keep moving.
I
That
think
work?
that's a good idea.
All right. So moderator, oh, and again, the goal was try to be 3%. Some were called out separately, but, so with the moderator, 2.9, we're right there, whopping $3 under. But that's one department with, it's an elected official. Article 3 was 3%, so not much you could do on that. Questions? Select Board, we were actually able to cut some general expenses out, so we have a 1.7%. Finance Committee, Paul put this together. He likes to practice what we preach, so we actually have a reduction in that budget at 39,081, negative 1%.
Is that the emergency fund?
No, that's mostly his pay.
You got rid of the gym membership.
32 was the. In Leanne, yeah.
Yep,
Oh, okay.
You're not taking a
132,
pay cut, are you, Paul?
he is.
I got rid of the gym membership.
Go on.
Yes.
It's being.
Hours cut. The reserve fund, this is something we contemplated potentially reducing. It has been, we've had a good experience, rightfully so. You don't tap into it very often, there's strict rules, so that's good. But given that we're gonna have a really tight budget, it may be wise to have it as the backup for the unpredictable.
What have we been spending? Because I saw the numbers that have been put out for each year. It's 125, 125, 125. I can't believe that we hit exactly 125 for,
There was one with,
You don't spend out of the reserve fund, so it's a budget transfer. You
Okay,
know,
but-
so not really.
if we,
Is your question,
Did we
how much have we
transfer
actually expended?
yes.
Yeah.
His question is actual expenditures out of
Yes.
that account.
Yeah.
Parks, a couple of years ago, we took money out, I forget what amount.
Yeah, Chuck Renault with the tree removals.
I think last year was 0. I don't think.
Well, I'm just, you're saying we may be prudent to cut that budget, but without knowing what we've spent, I don't think we've ever spent the 125.
We probably have not.
It used to only be 100, and then at some point it went up to
Yeah.
125. But we were
Yeah.
almost never closed, except there may have been a couple of years.
4 or 5 years ago, I think.
We had
one
fire,
time.
The Godfrey Brook account.
Brook, right, yeah, we use it for the Brook.
Yes,
brush
Yes.
fires, fire department.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know what we've spent,
Yeah,
so
there
it's
was a transition expenditure, as I recall, involving
Exactly.
Scott's department.
Yep,
That's when we
exactly.
spent it.
That's when you spent all of it, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Besides that, it's been partial, and there's been, trust me, plenty of years you haven't touched it, rightfully so.
Right.
My point is, I believe it would be important to leave that there, given that we are tightening up very, you know.
Yep.
can we get a report, Brownie, to say, in 2024, we spent X, and 25, we spent Y?
Yeah, we can put that together.
I don't think it'll change anything, but as we look back, if we have to cut, we want to know what we can cut to.
Come on, play it. No problem.
My department is 3.7. Our contractual obligations were 4, and I knew we had to do better, so we tried to cut as much as we could out of our general expenses, which is the small budget in the first place, but we reduced it 10%. The assessor's department, fortunate there at a 3.2% increase, but we really couldn't take any out of general expenses because of a revaluation year, so that's actually pretty tight right there. Town treasurer, it's going to appear that it's a large increase, certainly outside of the 3%, but recall that we now have a combined position, so what he did was just combine all of his salary into the treasurer's department, and then you have to couple that one with the tax collector department below. So one went up 6.7, the other went down 16.2. Net effect is a reduced budget. I think it would have been 40, but as he reminded Al earlier today, that there was a $10,000 increase in his general expenses, which is biannual for the OPEB, other
The
post-employment
audit.
benefits audit, and this is a year that he needs it. We always put it in, take it out, put it in, take it out, so we're in one of those years right now. Benefits Department, 2.9, happy with that budget. General government, 2.4. Pleased with that as well. We were able to level fund the general expenditures, again, coming in under our target. The law department actually went down too. They were,
Yeah, but keep in mind, Brian Murray is out of contract. His new contract, once he negotiates it, begins January.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
that does not include any step increase for him yet. He stays level funded through
Will
January.
that be settled before July?
That January, correct? So likely no, so that'll likely
So
be,
that-
if town meeting article, if,
Right.
yeah, if there's an increase, there'll be a town meeting article.
In September, you mean?
October, October.
Okay,
yeah,
October, yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Because that wouldn't hit this budget, it would hit the next one.
Yes.
We level funded the personnel board, 152. Human resources, 153. That's contractual increase at 141, but that would have been a large increase, so we went to the general expenses, expenditures and basically insisted that we had to take some money out of there, so we're cutting some training costs to get it to a 3.1%. Information technology is at 4.1 now. I will say I am pleased at that. It did not, David will speak to it too. It did not start at 4.1. You saw it at 16. That was without salaries and wages.
Quick question back.
Yeah. So he was one that was in and out of my office all week. It was
Do we want to bring IT in?
He mentioned that I think, I don't want to speak for him, but I did have a conversation with him probably a month or so ago that I thought it would be a good idea that he comes in and present it.
Okay.
I'll send him an email, let him know.
Tax title foreclosure, we're able to level that account. That is one where we recoup the money through the tax title process or foreclosure when he sells the property, but we're going to keep it at 50. Chris doesn't think he needs it any higher.
The 50 is the cost of what?
Whatever he has to do
Is that
with
like
the legal
retaining
departments.
outside
Yes.
professionals? Okay.
Yes, well, and there's also like fees
Legal fees and
associated
stuff
with,
like
that.
yeah, yes.
Every
Again,
time.
all recouped, every time we get it recouped, for sure.
So that's more like a revolving account.
Good, yes, exactly. Could be looked at that way, yes. Yep. Town clerk, they're responsible for 3 budgets, 161, 162, 163. Each one of them is up 3.4, 3.9, 5.7 respectively. We do have 3 elections this year. We did not have 3 elections, I should say, in the year coming up. We did not have 3 elections this year, so all things being neutral, that's actually pretty good numbers considering. Certainly the first 2, the 5.7, that's on a very small budget, so dollar value is not very significant, and that's really has to do with census mailings. Postage went up, mailings went up, so not sure there's a heck of a lot we can do on that budget right there.
We face that every year that we have an extra election.
Yes.
Like
Yep.
every other year or every 3 years, we get hit with the extra.
I'm going to give Jerry Hyatt some credit on that one. So last year, he said, hey, next year, it looks like we might be in trouble. Let's kind of keep the budget, let's not reduce it for the 2 elections we have, because we know we're going to have 3, so that actually set us up pretty good, I will say. Questions?
Thank you.
The third one is what, the primaries? Is that
Registers?
the local, the November and the
yes,
primaries?
yes,
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yep. I'll pause for questions at this point. Manny?
So far, so good.
All right, we'll keep cooking. Conservation, very minor increase in general expenses overall, 0.7. Town planner, we had a new town planner, so Larry was here for a long time. New town planner did not come in at a top step, so there was actually a reduction there in salaries, and we also went after some of the general expenses and were able to cut some too, so close to a 2% decrease on that budget. Planning board, 2.2% increase, level funded the general expenses, and that's just the 3% election. Economic development, 5,000, level fund that one. Fair housing, 3% for the elected official, 0% for general expenditures. This next one I want to mention quick, on my opening, I said that I was with the water department earlier today on one of their duly posted meetings, and part of our initial plan on how we're going to weather this storm was to eliminate the $260,000 transfer that's been going from the general fund to the water department, which is per plan, mind you. This is after 5 years now. They're in their 6th year. And if anyone recalls, when we had our initial presentation on why we should buy the water department, this was all laid out that we were going to be doing this transfer for a 5-year period while they were slowly building up the rate increases. Here we are. They called me in front of them because they were hoping to kind of smooth it out a little bit, and I'm like, well, your success has put us in a position where I can comfortably take it from you, so.
0 is smooth.
Yeah.
And their rate increases have been slightly lower than what they were projected, right?
It has been, yeah.
So-
They were comfortable with it. I don't want to say they were pleased, 'cause nobody's been pleased with these situations, but they were certainly understanding. And again, I think they've been doing a fantastic job. They built up reserves like we wanted them to do, so this shouldn't be very painful. It'll be a little, yes, of course, but it's not anything irresponsible, put it that way. Public building and property, and by all means, Rick, if you have anything to hop in, please do so.
Chairman, can I ask a question on that one?
On what?
Public property?
Well, let him finish his.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, all right, so almost everybody in that department has the step and the COLA, hence the 5.3% increase, but we did look to level fund the remaining. That is one of those budgets that is general expense heavy, repair and maintenance heavy, as compared to a lot of the other budgets I just presented. So by zeroing those, it did come out to a 2.4, which we do feel comfortable with. Maybe a little discomfort with gas prices, but hopefully by that point, they're down, we'll see. But we're comfortable for that for now.
Well, you're
That
gonna-
was going to be my question. I don't know if gas includes electricity or not, but public property includes all utility costs, right?
It does,
Are we
yes.
hurting ourselves with this, doing it this way?
Potentially, I hope not, but hence keeping 125,000 in the reserve fund.
Well,
Yes, right.
they have 290,000 in their electricity. Gas heating, 60,000. That coincides with last year, and they were right there, expense-wise, so I don't think.
Crazy times, we just don't, you know.
Exactly.
Municipal energy program too, so.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So we have fixed costs, we know what the.
Oh, you have fixed costs?
Yeah, so-
Oh, great.
And what they increase.
So no force majeure increases in costs or anything like that? All right, okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, thank you.
194, other insurance, just as a reminder, this is level. If you're looking at expenditures, I think my sheet may have it and theirs don't. So back in 2023, the number was 125,000. This is the money that is a transfer account. It goes from here directly to our self-insured liability claims trust account. The trust account had been not where it was supposed to be, hence at that time we had been building it up. So basically, we do have supplemental insurance plans, not just complete, utter self-insured, but it was becoming a point where the cost of those premium costs were actually larger than what we were contributing at the time of 125. So we jacked that up, and we don't need to go higher, but it would be, in my opinion, our opinion, irresponsible to go backward on that account. So we're leveling that.
This is for property and casualty?
Yes.
And we're partially
Yeah,
self-insured
and liability.
and liability.
Yes.
Okay.
Questions? Town report, we're able to level that. It's only 5,500, but we were able to level it. That kind of concludes general government. Jerry, any commentary? You're on mute.
No, I can only say that the general government process went very smoothly with very cooperative department heads in recognizing the targets. And in almost all cases, we were able to meet the target or go below. Did you mention the exceptions, Zach?
Yes, and I'm going to say a few more as well. Yep.
Okay, there's one exception that needs to be noted, and as noted earlier in the meeting, that particular department and department head will need to come before the full finance committee.
Yep. So that was
I gotta say
IT
thank you
department,
to-
and he's also
I gotta
talking
say-
about inspections, which I haven't gotten to yet.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yep.
Tom Brown and Zach and Paul have been very, very helpful, instrumental in getting this taken care of this year and under control. It's been a great experience, to be quite honest.
Appreciate that,
I
Jerry.
hope the other departments do the same. I'm all set. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
It is a 1.8% reduction in the whole general government of all the accounts combined. I don't think that showed you, but the total reduction of almost 2%.
We could only get there everywhere. Go ahead, Sal.
I'm going to mention a few. I'm going to mention a few departments here that I'm also going to couple with the suggestion that you bring them in.
Yep.
All right. So police department, both public safety. I'm just going to mention the numbers, but I suggest that you bring them in. All right. So police right now is at a 4.8% increase. 10,236,481. I think it's high. Fire department is at 3%. I think that's a good number. It's higher than what we wanted to see it, but he really, really sliced and diced this one. He wants to present to demonstrate that this is going to be painful to his operation, but he is playing ball.
I agree wholeheartedly based on the conversation.
Yes. Thank you, Carl.
Yeah, so the fire department was originally around 5 or 6%.
Originally 8.
It was 8.
Yes.
Hopefully other departments can follow this lead. And so they eliminated the request for additional personnel, and there was also the discretionary overtime that, as I understand it, they're agreeing to pull out. And we understand they're not pleased with it, but, you know, we're doing.
I think on top of that too, their expenses are flat and level. Fuel's
Yes.
going to be an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And there are other expenses that they self-fund to make repairs at the fire station that will be very difficult this year. So I think it's certainly worth bringing them in because I think
I
it's important
100% agree.
for them to explain where they've made their decisions.
To articulate the issues, yeah, and just to correct what you said, it's not 2 employees they were looking for. They're not filling 2 existing employees.
2 existing, so it's
Leaving
basically
2.
attrition.
Yes,
Yes, they're leaving 2 open to,
yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
one comment on the police department. I reviewed the budget, and I think we're still budgeting for more than 3 vehicles. And I thought the original commitment was that the town would replace 3 vehicles every year. And I think, as I recall looking at that account, it looked like they may be trying to replace 4 or 5. And the only reason why that was allowed to happen was during COVID, when we had additional ARP money and we had the additional funds. And I think we need to go back to addressing this as 3 vehicles, not 4 or 5.
That is a,
I'm not sure, I haven't,
that is a very fair point, Jerry, and it's something that's come up in separate conversations. So I think that when we have our discussion with the police, that is a very fair point to address.
in terms of the details.
because as I recall, I was the person on the committee that suggested we stop dragging the police department to town meeting and hassling over what we're going to replace, and so that we have committed to replacing 3 vehicles. And I think we've been, pretty cooperative in pretty much getting that done. But we just can't, we need to pull that back and get it back to 3, back to our original commitment. Thank you.
Yes, Hal?
Jerry, I'm not positive, but I think the agreement was we have 12 cruisers on the road, replace every 3 years, so it was 4 a year, not
No,
3
it's
a
not.
year.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's 3, basic 3,
I
And
thought
what we
were
do is we
replacing
budget,
four.
All right.
Bring the chief in.
no, it's not for,
I mean, somebody's got the historical answer to this. We don't have to debate this
I
right
think the
now.
important part.
I have the answer. I was the finance committee that made the original proposal way back when. If you'll recall, probably no one on this board saw the general fiasco that went on during town meeting when it came to the subject of police cruisers. Town meeting members would get up and pontificate, elaborate on how they can drive a 200,000-mile vehicle without any complications. Why do we need to replace police cruisers? So this committee, if you go back and look at the minutes, agreed to replace 3 vehicles each and every year. Each and every year, we keep incurring additional costs per vehicle, and we have pretty much absorbed that cost without any regards other than it's 3 vehicles. So back then, and we did a total inventory of the number of vehicles, and it was kept at 3. And right now, I think it's very, very important that we keep that number at 3
Okay,
to
so
get through this particular budgetary season.
Carly?
So just for details, and we'll bring them in, but their current budget as submitted has their vehicle line item flat from the 26 budget to the 27 budget. That is not the increase. The increase is on reoccurring equipment, which has to do with licenses and other tasers and such. But happy to bring him in to talk about the history, but current budget as submitted has vehicles flat to the 26 budget, level funded.
Yeah, I correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Jerry is suggesting that we're increasing it from last year to this year. I think what Jerry is saying, at some point in the past, during COVID, I think you said at the initial, that's when you believe it was 3.
Right.
Okay, and there's an answer, there's an
That's when
answer.
we
to the
make,
question.
that's when,
Yeah, and we'll bring him in and he can go over it, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
understood.
that's when, during COVID, when we had the ARP money, we made an exception to allow him to replace more than 3 vehicles. But that wasn't a change in policy.
Okay,
So we need to
so,
address that.
yeah, so police and fire will both be coming in. Building inspector, is that what you were going to talk about
Yeah, I think
earlier?
you should bring in Mr. Erickson as well.
What's happening here?
So that is an increase, an 8.5% increase. It started at a 10% increase, and there was a, he removed an administrative position and in lieu of a more technical position, another inspector. It's a $20,000 swing from that alone. They're already in play. The person's been hired. They're here. This also was coupled with back in, I think it was May-ish, effective 7/1, they increased fees. They increased fees pretty substantially in order to, in other words, justify this position here. But I think it's worthy of bringing John in, honestly. He could speak to it better than me.
Okay, go on.
All right, sealer of weights, kind of similar trend, 3%, that's an elected position, and we flatlined the general expenses for an overall of 2.9. Emergency management, this is another one that's under the purview of Police Chief Nelson. He was able to, it's small dollars, but it's zero, flatline.
Fire chief, not.
Fire chief.
Right.
I'm sorry, Fire Chief Nelson, yeah. Animal control, this one had a step and a COLA, so it would have been large if we leveled the general expenses. We did not, as you can see, we removed 10% to get to 3.3. Insect control, zeroed the budget. We haven't actually filled that position in years, so we zeroed it right out.
Okay.
Hydrant services, we actually should just pull out of there, that's gone now. But
So
moving
we're
on,
not doing insect control?
we don't have an employee for insect control, that's what that
Question
is.
is, are we doing insect control?
Yes, we still,
Okay.
we don't have too many issues, to be very honest with you.
No, Rick, it's just a question, we cut the person, that's okay, but did we cut the function? You're saying no.
No,
The expense is showing up in some other account.
192,
Is this indoors or outdoors?
192?
the
Public
building,
property.
public building.
Public
property.
property? Okay. Understood. Okay.
What is, never mind. I just want to know what the insect control person does, that's all.
I haven't filled it in years, so I don't know.
That's all I need.
I don't know if it's ever been filled since I've been here, so,
Strike the account.
yeah.
Yeah, Paul, go ahead.
School department,
Wait a minute,
again.
hold on.
Just gonna throw
Paul.
one little thing in that.
you'll see on our assessment sheet, so on our cherry sheet where we have our revenue and the assessments on the backside, there's a thing for that mosquito.
Mosquitoes,
control
yeah.
program. And so that is kind of, I think that's related to that, whether or not we have a person involved. But there is money that's spent on that, and they go around and spray for that stuff. And they sometimes let people know when that stuff is
Yep.
happening.
Yeah. Okay, the schools, we're still waiting to hear from, and obviously we'll have to bring them in.
Yep, at that point, it concluded public safety. If there's any questions there, or we can continue with education.
Go to it.
All right, so education, as I've been saying this entire time, this budget will be made or broken by the school department playing ball here. We just heard what Blackstone Valley's doing, and I think that that's going to be a trend across the whole state, right out of his opening presentation.
Meaning that they're 2.5%.
Meaning that you're going to have some attrition and layoffs.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they have a flat population, and they're doing 650,000 in RIFs.
Good observation, yes, exactly. I hope it wasn't lost on everyone either that he presented that, I think he said half of his communities are looking at overrides right now. So that just should demonstrate this isn't just a Milford issue. This is a very difficult budget year across the whole state. Right? But that hopefully is a nice roadmap for our school department is what I'm driving at. But you heard that presentation. So at 350, Blackstone Valley Regional is a 10.2% increase. So that's still a big number, and that obviously will chip away at other departments there. And that's driving, as you opened, Chairman Lazat, that our number currently is, I believe, 271 over where we want to be, and part of that is 134,000 from Blackstone alone. So it's a little bit difficult to swallow, but there's not much we can do about it. Yes, sir.
Does the school department carry a Milford student who goes to BVT? Do they still carry that as a Milford population? Student population?
I'm not sure that
Or do they concede
answer.
at all to BVT?
I think it's part of, I'm not sure the answer. I don't want to misspeak on that. I'm not
Do
sure.
you know the answer?
Well, I'm pretty sure the Chapter 70 money that BVT gets is per student, and the Chapter 70 money that the town of Milford gets is per student.
So it can't be counted twice, is what you're
Yeah.
To
saying?
lose those students, and that's one of the reasons why sometimes the school system is resistant to increasing our BVT enrollment, because that affects how much they get back on the Chapter 7.
Now,
I-
in this particular year, it may actually be moot because the enrollment numbers, as I understand it, the one I'm hearing is 250. I think it may be more, I don't know, but 250 students less. So as Mr. Steele had presented, we're held harmless is the term. So they don't actually reduce your prior year's Chapter 70. Instead, we got the $75 COLA, if you will, per student. That's why we saw a $150,000 increase rather than a decrease based on
But
enrollment.
it'll hit us the year after.
It'll be held harmless again. You're held harmless, so your last
You're not
amount,
going to reduce the total amount.
Okay.
But you'll get like this year's increase, BVT's increase was 1.8%. Ours was a third of that number,
Yes.
0.6. So that's the effect of the reduction in enrollment.
David, go ahead.
I just- a couple of questions. One is the projected, the projected budget number for the school department. Is that a benchmark, your benchmark, or is that it's your benchmark?
benchmark.
Okay, thank you. And then the other question I have, which was just brought up, was, didn't we at one time talk about from the school department that there was going to be extra dollars coming in because you're going through like a vocational program type thing? Is that going to, that going to hit anytime soon, or do we?
That's if we build a
that's for the new school.
with vocational
That's for the new
programs.
school with the new school.
That would hit in
Okay, got it.
2031.
Yeah.
All right, all right. No,
That all needs to
I
be
thought we were doing
flushed
something
out.
now with that. Okay.
Yeah,
No,
massively premature.
It's supposed to open in 2031.
Yeah.
That's when you'd have kids in the,
2031. That's 5 years from now. That's a while. Okay.
Go on, Zach.
Thank you. The other remaining educational, vocational tuition for, help me out here, North Fork Aggie, I don't have those numbers yet either. And the Medicaid recovery, I don't have that, but we should expect similar numbers. I don't foresee anything wacky there. That would conclude education. Moving on. Town engineer. contractual. It was a pretty big increase. Just today, through Paul and Tom, they went down and they were able to reduce general expenses by 22%, getting us to a 3.7. Highway administration, we kind of have to couple these. So Scott Christopher is responsible for 421, 422, 423, and he's actually also responsible now for the transfer station, which is 432. And by the time these budgets are real, there's a strong likelihood that he'll also be responsible for 431, which is waste collection. That trade-off, if you will, a handoff of the football, if you will, from the Board of Health to him has not occurred yet. That's why we don't have the number built in. And I called Paul Mazzucchelli today and I asked him if they can build the budget. He has a meeting tomorrow, so some of these absent, that Board of Health, dental, some of the others will be filled in tomorrow, and you'll have a new version which will have basically everything except the school department built in. But if you're looking at Scott's 421 highway administration, it's a 3.7% increase. He reduced his general expenses, but he's in a contract year with himself. He's now a personal contract employee, and his staff, his union staff is negotiated too. So they have a 4% increase, but he reduced again his general expenses for a 3.7. Now, he wanted to do better, and I appreciate that, and what he was able to do with 422, which is the highway construction, is he was able to reduce that budget by 3.7, which is actually a bigger number. The reason is because Chapter 90, kind of like Chapter 70 is the school money, Chapter 90 is the highway money. That actually was pretty good this year. So whatever bill that came out of the state was actually pretty good, and he's going to get $300,000 more in his annual allotment. So he shared the love a little bit.
Cut the highway money from what, 750 to 700? Am I
Yes.
remembering that right?
Yes. Yep, correct, exactly.
Zach, if he's getting 300,000 more, would we expect to see 300,000 less here?
Not necessarily. He did say if you need more, so that's on the table.
I was thinking that question.
That is on the table.
As we look at our 270 shortfall here.
It
let's,
could be, but we do want to be a little bit cautious about that is the road money and all that good stuff,
Road prices haven't gone down.
And it's expensive, yes. But it's on the table if we need it, all right?
Actually, Zach, can I ask one question on that?
Yes.
That we talked, I said briefly with police and fire. Are you concerned about fuel across the board in town?
Of course, yes.
Right now, in this budget, is just level, not obviously increasing fuel prices at this time?
Yes, I am. Yes, but I don't know what will happen, so.
It's March.
Yeah.
Do any of us know what's going to
Exactly. Again, back to why it's very important that I think we leave that $125,000 reserve fund, Close out of this year, you're asking me if I'm very concerned on that? Not necessarily. We look pretty good. There will be some transfers between the lines like we normally do, but
Just drop all the thermostats 1 degree.
exactly, yeah. Shut off the AC, yeah. But I think we'd be okay this year, and like everyone, crossing fingers for next. Snow and ice, we're keeping it at 600. Remember, what you you can't return, or you can, but you can't get the benefit of snow and ice. On that note, Tom, go for it.
Terrible. The total spend as of this week is 1.40. We gotta come up with 804,000 right now. We're overdrawn.
I have an article in, as I typically do when we have deficits like this. I typically have more free cash to handle it, so if this continues, which it certainly shouldn't, there should not be any more, these are kind of like trickle-in expenses that are happening now, but once you go deficit, you can only continue to be deficit to respond to the emergency, and dang well better not be any more snow coming.
So what are you proposing? Where's the 800 come from?
I have 900 in free cash, so we're
900.
basically going to deplete the whole thing.
Complete the whole thing.
Gonna wipe out free cash.
Yes. Yep.
We'll just have to deal with that in September. right?
Yeah, well, I'll have it recertified as of 7/1, so
No,
either way, you
I think
lose
his
it.
point
yeah.
is, come October, when capital requests come in,
Won't be rolling any.
We won't be, yes, and we have been, so each year, we have been rolling almost that amount, so,
we've been spending $3 million a year on a 1.75 budget,
yeah.
because we had free cash to cover.
I mean, we've been rolling free cash numbers. Either way, whether I have a balance or not, once 7/1 comes, last year's free cash you can't use anymore till I recertify.
Right.
But we've been like regenerating it, if you will, because we haven't been spending it all. So yeah, I think pun is intended here when I say it's the perfect storm, you know? So marching on, street lighting, 0%. We were able to level that, looks pretty good this year. We're gonna, to a small degree, roll the dice on that, because obviously that's energy driven, but Rick also just earlier said that we are in that energy program, and it is a locked-in rate there too, correct?
Right.
Yes, okay. So somewhat comfortable. On-street parking, 3%, that's just purely the COLA. The employee is maxed out, so no step involved, and we're leveling the general expense, so coming in at a 2.8. Waste collection, as I mentioned, I should have a number tomorrow. I don't expect anything abnormal. Paul Maz is fully aware of the financial situation we're in, and he's going to do his best to see if we can actually come in under. Transfer station, I told you with the other departments under Scott Christofoli's purview to kind of put a pin in it. One of the main reasons he reduced what we said on 422 is because he's having an increase in 432 transfer station by 5%. So marching through, it's a younger employee, a less tenured employee, I should say, that will have a step and a COLA, but really the increase here is the mattress program, which takes a lot of mattresses in, as I understand it, hence the increase, but that's also kind of like the tax title of some of these other accounts that we do charge a fee for, so the money will come back to us. I think they say it cost them $20 to $25, I think they said, to dispose of the mattress, but the fee is $30 to $35. Somewhere in there is a $10 differential, so
Yeah, well, you
kind of
don't-
make money on it a little bit.
You don't want to increase it too much, or you're going to start getting donations to Asylum Street.
Yes, yes, exactly, finding them all over the roads, yeah. So that's the main reason of that increase on that budget. But again, he got the memo too that we can't be increasing beyond 3%. That's why all his budgets overall is basically level. All right. Moving on, the sewer department, they actually decreased, and mainly from their health insurance allocation's been overfunded, if you will, for a while now. I think I might have mentioned I had a little bit of difficulty with getting this through the Department of Revenue because they were teetering so closely with their rate structure to budget. So in response, we not only reduced, but this is the first time in I think like 15 years that you're going to see a rate increase. I believe it was 5%, right? 5% rate increase in the sewer department for the first time in a while. But they had to. They reached that point of depleting reserves. They had to, but pleased to see a 2.3% reduction. Water department, 3.6 increase. Did take that 260 from them, as I mentioned again. But this also, every dollar that we see here will be taken care of through rates, so it's kind of an in and out on that.
It's like a revolving fund.
Yeah, it's an enterprise, but
Enterprise
yeah.
fund, but it doesn't affect our actual budget.
Yes, it did when we had the transfer, but it will no longer. Cemetery department, 2.1%. They're in a contract as well, so we had increases in personnel, but we were able to basically flatline the general expenses. You're going, just as a quick heads up, you're going to see a couple articles on the warrant that relates to the cemetery department. They were going to try to increase maintenance and some a pot of money for buying back lots. And I said, we can't do it. This isn't the year we can do this. Fortunately for the cemetery department, that people like to donate for whatever reason to the cemetery, so we have large amounts of money in perpetual care. With this, you're gonna see a couple articles that have to go to town meeting in order to spend that money, taking some money out of their perpetual care account and creating it as an article that will stay within their budget to take care of the repair and maintenance, therefore keeping it out of the tax levy. So they can present that when it's time, but just wanted to give you a quick heads up there. Tree warden, 3%. He also was looking for he's an elected official, that's the 3% for Article 3. He was also looking for an increase. He said this isn't the year, we cannot do it, so it's level funded on the general. Therefore, it's basically level funded overall. It's a 0.2% increase overall, basically level. That concludes Public Works and Facilities. Any questions?
Go on.
Marching on. All right, so Board of Health, it's not on that sheet, right? I have it, they don't. All right, I'm going to skip over those right now, just out of respect for the Board of Health making decisions. But it looked pretty good, I'll say. All right, hopefully the Board of Health votes and supports Paul and the staff, and we'll look pretty good there. That's all. Go ahead.
One note, dental clinic, 524, they're taking that away. That's 79.
If we get the vote.
If we have to. Okay.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah. All right.
That's going the way of the insect control?
Yeah.
That would
There
be,
wasn't any spent last year.
Okay.
First call.
at least that's our recommendation, and they're kind of, we'll see, right? They both.
Likely, yes, but we'll give them the respect of going first. Right. Visiting nurses, same thing. Likely going to see it flatlined, but let's hear from them as well. We'll know tomorrow. So if we move on to 528, that's Inspector of Animals. That's an elected position, so there's no general expenses. It's purely just the salary, up 3% at $2,978. 541, Council on Aging. This one's a tricky one. General expenses went up 5.6. Almost every one of the employees are not maximum, so they had a step and a COLA, so it's that contractual. So what I was trying to attempt to do was say, okay, then you need to cough up some of your general expenses here. Problem is that we had just taken in a bid for their transportation, which makes up the vast majority of that budget. And the bid, again, kind of staying in line with gasoline prices that we're talking about, same theme, went from $39 per hour to $56. So that's, I think, what, 40% increase. So we're looking at a large increase in transportation costs. I have on here a 4.2% increase in the general expenses. That should be significantly more. Reason that we can keep it that low is they do have the luxury of a grant, and they do have the luxury of a revolving fund that does have decent enough balances in there where I believe we can charge 2 months of this transportation to that account. That may be, mind you, a temporary fix, not only for this year, but next year. We may have to revisit that the following year, which also will line up with the closure of this bid. It's a 3-year bid.
Is there a bid process on that, or is
Yes.
that the 57 was the lowest of the bids?
Yes. Rick,
You
2?
typically get one bid.
Oh, did we get one bid for it?
I think we got 2,
You're
right?
looking for a job, Dave.
You just don't get many bids.
You don't want me driving anybody.
Yeah.
Youth Services, a similar situation. Most of that staff, with the exception of the director, are not maxed out, so they have the step and the COLA. That was at 5.8%. Same exact situation. Jen, no bueno. We need some of your general expenses. I need $5,000. Reluctantly coughed it up, but she did. Also, luckily, fortunately for her, youth, there's a lot of grants available. We do have the revolving fund. A lot of people like to donate various gifts of money and whatnot, so there's other avenues where she can turn to for this year, and happily was able to contribute. So we're looking at a 3.6. Otherwise, it would have been a lot higher. Moving on, Veteran Services, definitely want to give a shout out to Mr. Pilla. This was early, one of our identifying areas based on trend analysis. I hated doing it just for the concept of asking to chip away at the veterans, but their trend was identified as such that we could. And remind me, what was the number? We wanted to target 50, we got 35?
34, yeah.
34. Asked 100 times, will this impact any services? No, it's an aged population, no, it won't. So comfortable, and I'm happy that he was able to help us out here. So that's a reduction of 5.4%. Commission on Disability, I know they were looking for an increase, we just can't do it. So even though it's a small budget, it's just level fund and zero.
Andy, just a comment about the veterans budget. It's still funded at about 100,000 over last year's actual
spend.
So we don't want to give the impression we're cutting veterans benefits or we're not
Understood.
doing any of that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you, Paul.
Because
I
people
was
jump-
trying to, exactly.
Jump on those.
100%, yeah.
The veteran's going to be homeless in Milford.
I
Yeah,
understand.
thank you for doing that, Paul. Library, I'm pretty pleased with this budget too. Overall, 2.4. Mike, any commentary?
I met with them, and I was pretty impressed with the numbers.
Yeah.
Sue did a really good job of managing that. She is retiring in June. So there is a search committee, I guess, looking for replacement. But I really do salute Sue for the years that she has managed this. I've been impressed every year that I've sat down with them
Appreciate you saying that, Mike.
and managing it.
The interviews start tomorrow.
Oh, wow, okay.
Hopefully, we're bringing somebody at a lower level.
We will be.
Save next
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, likely, yes. Yeah.
I wouldn't count on that.
We'll see.
Can always hope.
Yeah. Continuing, Parks Department, Department 650, 3.4. I will tell you, this is not where it was submitted. It was not substantially higher, but a couple points higher, and say, we can't do it. So issue there is his general expenses, like many departments, are so tight that he really wasn't able to comfortably hit anything without cutting services. So he had to go to his personal service section, and there had been money that had been put in for years for bike trail maintenance. This is not to say there would not be bike trail maintenance. It's just it was in the form of overtime, and that's what he had given up in order to to get to these numbers we see today, which is 3.4%.
Zach, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Is there anything additional that needs to be considered with all the improvements they've made this year in terms of upkeep or costs with everything they've done down in Town Park that would be different than prior years?
Not necessarily, because I think if he were here, he would present that a lot of it is personnel heavy.
Okay.
It's that type of upkeep. So, no, I don't think
That's
so.
good.
Yep, thank you. Historical Commission, we're able to level that, small dollars, but nonetheless level. That concludes Cultural and Recreation. Questions? Continuing. Maturing debt, we have decreases. We haven't bonded in a little while outside of the buying the water department, but that's paid for out of the enterprise fund. So per plan, we actually are reducing, and debt is falling off, and that's both on the interest side and on the principal side. Now, we know that we couple those increases with our stabilization contribution in an attempt to maintain our, as I call it, budgetary bonding capabilities. So that's why we have our stabilization contribution that was rising. But this is from Chris Pilla. We are suggesting that we maintain the $150,000 in short-term interest, multiple reasons. In the event that we have to have some kind of revenue borrowing, or maybe some bond anticipation note that may have to occur. Or frankly, this is almost another potential quote-unquote transfer account. So I think that that's important that we maintain that number. And Tom is going to be missing a page here.
Retirement?
Yeah. Perfect, okay. Retirement account, 7.1. I'm sorry, but these are one of those, nothing we can do about. It's our annual required contribution. We are locked into this number until we are fully funded. In other words, another, I believe, like 9 years. This will continue to increase 7.1% until either the state allows us to kick it out further, or we adopt a different funding schedule, and by different, it'll be higher, which I'm not going to allow. I'm the chairman of the retirement system, so this is already massively aggressive, in my opinion, but we don't necessarily have any choices here to go lower. Workers' compensation. Shockingly, this is one of those where the premium actually came in less, even though we have had and still do have comp out across the town. So not going to look a gift to us in the mouth. We will take it. It's a reduction from 520 to 496, or 4.6% reduced. That's helping us out with some of these other minor increases that we saw. Unemployment, right now, we're keeping it at 160. You may say, like, hey, what if we have to do these layoffs? I'm really hoping that we go through the attrition process. If the school's gonna have to, I really hope, I presented this to them, I really hope they're thinking about attrition as opportunities present. But if they don't, and they do have to lay off, if you look at prior year performance, and I'm not sure it's on the document you're looking at, but I'll just read it off quick. 2023 was 85,000. That was still coming out of COVID, so that's actually a high number. 2024 was 46,000. 2025 was only 30,000. So having 160, I think, is an okay number right now. Last but not least, employee health insurance. You don't have a figure on there. I will tell you, we are currently over what the projection of 6% is. It's not significantly over, but over. Now, that's based on status quo. I'm just telling you that we have 2 employees in the fire department that's not going to be filled. That will help there. And the school is going to be forced with these situations of layoffs and whatnot. If those occur, that's why I don't have a number submitted now. I need to couple it with those outcomes. So until I know the schools, we may not fully know this.
Does BVT have a different demographics? If not, why can't we figure out what they're doing to get their health insurance down to 4%?
Their number was absolutely phenomenal. I don't know, their plan experience must have been fantastic.
I mean,
but
they said that they clipped the GLPs. I mean,
we clipped our GLPs.
You did?
Yeah.
Are we using the same broker?
I doubt it. I don't know. I doubt it.
I mean, Chris is in ideal position to see both sides. Can we have him dig into this?
We can
a little
have
bit?
them, but I will tell you, I just came back from my annual schooling, and like, we're looking at closer to a 10% increase in the premium, 9.9, I believe. And that's with the active employees. The retirees are closer to 20, if you can believe it. I'm going to tell you, across the state, I'm hearing horror stories of 40, 50%, and these are a lot with the self-insured funds, and it's a lot with these GLP-1s. So I don't want to call a 9.9 a victory, but it certainly could be significantly worse. Point well taken, looking at BVT, but theirs is definitely the abnormal amount that we're talking here. But we will. I'll have Chris trying to dig a little deeper and see why, but.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing a lot of the things that we'd like to see more people doing, right? They're level enrollment, but they're still looking at RIFs where possible,
Yeah.
and controlling their employee benefits. I mean,
Andy,
yes.
you mentioned that if there's layoffs in like the school department, all we could see a benefit to the health insurance. But don't they get the COBRA?
They pay for themselves.
They pay 100% on COBRA?
Yes.
Okay.
But you might see your unemployment rate go up, so.
But we have some money in there.
Yeah.
Bill?
Do you have discretion in terms of the suppliers for health care and retirement benefits?
What's the question again? Discretion on the what?
The supplier, the vendors that you deal with?
Oh, yes, yes. So we have an insurance advisory committee. We have a broker, to your point. broker brings forth the bids. Insurance Advisory Committee does exactly that. They advise to the Board of Selectmen. Our HR director presents to the selectmen the recommendation of the Insurance Advisory Committee, and then they award at that point.
That's been done recently?
Oh, yeah. It does, like almost every year. We have switched providers 3 or 4 times in the past 10 years. A lot of times you see the bait and switch, you know?
Right.
I know there's been, from the insurance advisory's perspective, a push to go self-insured. I don't like it. I think it's bad news. So I don't think that that's the save-all for us. You know, or I'm at least extremely cautious to
It'll take
go.
one bad year to kill us.
Yeah, it's true.
Mike?
I was pretty impressed with the senior center reaching into a revolving account to cover a spike in gasoline costs. Pretty good. A lot of the line item accounts here have revolving accounts, and they never really seem to fall under this budgetary structure very often. Should they not be reminded that we're looking at a lot of spikes, such as the gasoline requirement, that they should be looking back into their revolving accounts? And if it's been accumulating, this is a damn good time to pull some money out of that revolving account and use it for some of these spikes.
Yeah, I would say we probably have 20 revolving funds. Of that, at least half, if not more, are the school department. And then others are very specific purposes. So kind of the ones that I had mentioned out loud today are the ones that do have more latitude, yeah.
So they're
yeah.
really limited?
And school definitely has some latitude here. School choice being the biggest, can be spent on anything legal and lawful that a school department can spend on.
That's been diminishing because of no choice.
It has, yeah. Circuit breakers, their other large one, which has to be on special education, but we all know there's a lot of special education expenditure in the school department, so that's one that they look to as well. But that's a good point, well taken, yes. We should be, there's lots of grants, there's lots of gifts. We certainly should be looking at some of them. Yes, and frankly, I do that like to avoid 33B transfers and avoid the town meeting transfers. I look to those first. So like I try to put the responsibility on the department rather than, hey, I'm not going to go find you $5,000 when you're sitting on a gift for 20. You know, charge it there. You know, so I'll definitely be bullish on this year. But thank you.
Okay, a few observations before we close. Oh, Bill?
Yeah, one last question. Each department, I'm assuming, is responsible for their grants, what's out there, how to go after it, and so on.
Yes.
Is there any universal oversight of that?
Absent my department, not necessarily.
Okay.
But we do. We go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that some of those departments that have the availability to get grants,
Right.
they're pursuing them.
They are,
From the
yeah.
youth center, to parks, they're all, Scott, they're pursuing grants, all of them. And there are many grants out there that we're managing right now.
We have grants coming out of our ears right now. Like, what our process is, we have to get the award letter before we even set up a new account structure. 'Cause remember, every single grant, gift, any special revenue fund, as we call it, it all has it's a unique fund, has its balance sheet, has its income statement. We set up budgets, we track them, they have specific purposes, so, and, it's been a little difficult,
Some have
honestly.
to be spent before the end of the fiscal year.
They all got crazy rules, yeah. But yes, we are pursuing heavily.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so first I'd like to say thank you, both of you guys, and Paul, for the efforts you're making with all these departments. I think you've done a great job so far. Appreciate all of that. You know, we're obviously dealing with solutions that in some respect may work for this year but won't work in subsequent years. Not to be a broken record, but if we run into this as a recurring problem, we're going to run into the harder choices about either higher taxes, attrition to reduce or otherwise to reduce the number of personnel or reduction in pay and benefits. We may get to that point. You guys have done a great job so far trying to whittle this down without having to do a lot of that, and I commend you for that. And we're not too far off from where we'd like to be, subject to schools and health insurance. As far as the town meeting articles, is there anything that we should be doing on a coordinated effort to try to maximize what we get out of the unused monies for the fall to build up free cash?
We just had that conversation yesterday. I'm gonna distribute all the open articles to all the department heads starting tomorrow.
Okay.
And in that email, we're gonna recommend which ones we suggest to roll back.
I'll give you a quick example of beyond rollback. So again, you heard me, I talked with Selectman Mazzucchelli today, and he is volunteering returning the $200,000 they had for the occupancy permit, and it's in an effort to help here. They are gonna do it within their own staff, so they're gonna return that. And he wanted me to give a shout out, so thanks for the reminder, so that's your shout out, Paul.
Yeah.
You know?
And there'll be a few others, but some of those small dollar items you see, they're gonna be wiped out.
Is Memorial School still up there?
Who?
Is that Memorial School that had the savings in the, when they did the addition? Wasn't there a big savings there? When they put the blocks next to it? and
That was
I thought
Brookside.
Was that?
The modulars.
Brookside.
Oh, the modules, yeah.
Module.
We turned that back
Yeah.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
And that was a
big-
significant amount, $2 million bucks.
Yeah.
That was millions.
2.2.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about scheduling for the next month. We picked off 5 groups to come visit us out of these departments: IT, police, fire, building inspector, and school. Is there anyone else, I'm opening this up to the committee as a whole, is there anyone else at this time that people would like to have visit us? Okay, so what I would suggest is, I guess room 3 is next available April 8th, Leanne? Okay, I would suggest that we schedule the next meeting for Wednesday, April 8th. At that time, we should have the warrant. My objective would be to try to get through some or all of these 5 groups that we just talked about, and at least a decent chunk of the
I
warrant.
think you'll be
You
able to
have
do
April 8th already scheduled. Second Wednesday.
Yeah, I kind of take March and April as free-for-all, but, because we didn't have one for the second week of March, but.
No, but you have April 8th.
Well, we've confirmed it then. And then that's going to leave us with either the 15th, the 22nd, or the 29th. I suspect we'll need 1, if not 2 of those dates to deal with the warrants where we may need to invite people in, any of these 5 groups that we can't get in, and that other issue that we talked about earlier. Is there anything else that you think we need to cover tonight?
I think you're in good shape.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying the
You gonna-
15th and the 22nd?
Do you need the chair, who's reaching out to the people to come in?
I will do it, and I'll copy you.
That's fine, I just didn't know if you needed.
No, I appreciate the question, Carly. I'll do it unless I forget.
Public safety will be in front of the selectmen on the 6th, and I told them very likely the 8th. So
It'll be a
that's-
follow-up?
Yeah.
Double week.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
all right, so that's good. Okay, I don't think we have anything else for tonight. Is there a motion? Motion to adjourn by Michael, seconded by Ashley. David? Bill? Bill?
Yes.
Mike? Motion adjourned. No motion.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yes. Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
Mr. Hyatt?
Yes.
Yes, we're adjourned unanimously. Thank you all.